Hello, everyone. Today I have with us Ross Lightle, and Ross was a mentor of mine when I was taking Rich Dad education classes, and he taught me the right way to do rent-to-owns, and we've done several since then. And Ross, can you tell me a little bit about your background and how you ended up getting into the field of education like you are?
You bet, Edna. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing good. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent. Well, my journey started in 1977, and back in 1977, I got into the real estate business not because I knew what I was doing, just because my mother told me I should buy 20 acres of land that was beside our farm that I grew up on. And being the good farm boy that I was, what if Mama said do that, then that's what I did. And I bought 20 acres of land for $23,000, and 4 years later I sold it for $105,000. And I went, you know, I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, but at the time I was making $3 an hour, apprenticing to be a cabinet maker, and I thought, takes a lot of hours to make $80,000.
Oh my God!
So I thought maybe I like this real estate business. And that was in the late 70s. And, of course, you might have remembered what happened in the early 80s. And for those of you that were in the real estate business then, the interest rates went sky high and 18, 19, 20%. But I was okay on my personal home because we were into the personal home and we didn't have any mortgage on that home. So that was a good thing. So we kind of survived those, but, started investing in real estate. And a few years later, I had a friend of mine came to me and he said, "Hey Ross, you're in real estate business. Can you rent me a house?" And I said, "Well, why do you want to do that? I mean, you're married." And he says, "Oh, well, we're going through the big D. That's not Dallas." And and I said, "Oh my goodness. Well, why don't I just sell you it?" And he says, "Well, I don't want to buy it because you might get that house too." I went, oh, okay, well, what? Tell you what we'll do. You just rent it from me, and then all the money that you pay me in rent, we'll just put it towards your down payment. And he said, "Oh, you'd do that for me?" I said, "Yeah, sure, why not?" And we just shook hands on it. There's no paperwork. And one day, he says he sent another referral over, and we did the same thing. And one day, I met my lawyer, and he says, "Do you mind telling me what you're doing here?" And I go, "Well, I'm just renting it, and then when they buy it, I'll give them all their money back, and da-da-da." He said, "Do you have any paperwork for that?" I said, "No." He said, "We should probably write something up." So we did a one-page lease and option on one page.
Okay.
That was pretty brilliant. But skip ahead a number of years later to where we are today, and today our leases are 107 pages, and our option contracts are 14 pages, and very detailed. Matter of fact, to do the rent-to-own business properly now and actually legally and everything else, it takes nine different contracts to actually do it successfully with all the new CMHC rules and everything else. I mean, the rent-to-own business has drastically changed, even as late as 2014. New rules have come in December of 2014, and we had to rework our contracts again. So the contracts that we use to do the rent-to-own business properly they're always a work in progress. And I think I'm actually pretty fortunate because I'm actually coaching today, and we've to date, this is my 815th coaching session, and I have clients all over Canada and U.S. and I get calls all the time, Edna, that say, "Well, Ross, I heard about this, and is this true?" So people got their feet on the ground, and they're phoning me up, and I'm getting input from a lot of people right across the country. And we get, because of that, we get to stay on top of any changes that are coming up. We get our lawyers to check it out and make sure that those changes are legitimate and they are real. And then we get to go ahead and spend a lot of legal money to change our contracts.
Lucky you, but lucky us, right?
But the bottom line is, yeah, all the clients get the benefits of us keeping on top of things. So the clients that keep in touch with me, of course, get all the benefits of the contract changes and staying right on top of it and all the latest and greatest things that we're doing now. So as you can imagine, Edna, the contracts are a lot more sophisticated than they were when I first started this whole rent-to-own journey. And
as when we started too, because I think even now, because of course I haven't stayed on top of all the we've got rule changes and we've kind of learned ways to adapt, but we definitely don't have hundreds of pages in our contract. So I'm very interested actually to learn more about that when you come.
Yeah, it's like everything else, you know. Sometimes the lenders and the government make it more difficult for us, and you know, but we have to stay on top of it. And really for us, we don't mind the difficulties, because it seems to me that the more difficult that CMHC and the government want to make it for the investor out there, and for the people that want to buy the properties, the better it gets for our rent-own business. So
yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, if it's tough for people to qualify for a property, which is getting, you know, as you know, more and more difficult for people to qualify, then our rent-own business, you know, gets better and better and better. We have more and more clients.
Yeah, and you know, even the fact that people are like first-time home buyers are finding it harder and harder. They've changed the rules and made it harder and harder for people to qualify. So the rent-own service is really great for people who want to get into owning their own home. And with the markets the way they are right now, I know in Saskatchewan the market's a little bit down right now. So it kind of allows people to buy in before the markets go back up again without missing everything, right?
Well, exactly. And, you know, we always tell our clients, our rent-own clients, you know, working with us is actually better than working with a lender, because think of us as your lender for the, you know, the 1 to 5 years that we will be doing the rent-own with you. You actually gain more equity working with us than you will with the lender, because the first 10 years, most of the payments that we're making with working with traditional lender are towards the interest payment, because the banks front end load the interest rate. So with working with us, you're going to have a set amount of money that's going to go back towards your equity or in your down payment. And so working with us is actually beneficial for the person to get involved. Now, when you think about it, when I got involved in the real estate business, the average home was 1 to 2 times the average wage.
Yeah.
And today, thank you very much to the government and to the lenders manipulating our currency, the average home today is 8 to 10 times the average wage.
Yeah.
In other words, the wages in the country have not kept up to the inflation and the appreciation of the home market.
Mm-hmm.
And so the longer you wait to get in, and I don't really see that trend reversing, the longer you wait to get into the home market, the more expensive in the terms of labor, dollars, purchasing power it takes you. So
mm-hmm.
you will have to work longer to get into a home the longer you wait to get into the market.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, I mean, really, and what we're talking about is purchasing power here. Yeah. We're talking about somebody's ability to go out and earn enough money to purchase a home. And every year, thanks to the devaluation of our currency, it takes people longer and longer and longer to own one of the basic necessities of life, and that's a roof over their head.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with you. We've been able to help several people that way. And you know what, it's really an education process, isn't it? Because a lot of people don't even understand that rent-to-own is an option. And then I think realtors, I know in our area, I don't know if you find it in the same your area, but a lot of realtors really don't understand the program, and so therefore sometimes kibosh it. And don't realize that they could win a lot more if they actually referred people to a rent-to-own program, correct?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, what we find is that there are actually a lot of people out there that are actually using the rent-to-own business, you know, yeah. Unfortunately, almost as a scam. And so, for a lot of realtors, they always hear that seems to people the bad news spreads faster than the good news. So there's a lot of people like yourselves and us that are doing it with the full intent of helping people get into home ownership. But a lot of realtors are misinformed about the actual way that the rent-to-own works, and so they're not supportive of the rent-to-own business. But for the realtors that understand the rent-to-own business, from the realtors that we work with, that refer people to us and clients to us, once they understand the benefits of the rent-to-own business, they can actually make a lot of money working with us.
I know,
and help a lot of people get into homeownership. I mean, think about it like this, Edna. The people we work with are the exact people that the realtors can't help. And generally speaking, it's people that don't have enough down payment or their credit is bruised in some way. Yeah. Maybe they're new immigrants to Canada. Maybe they don't. They just started a new job. Maybe they're self-employed. The bank looks at them like they're from Mars. So people that don't qualify for mortgages and people that don't have down payment, this is our customer. Well, the realtors can't help these people, but we can. So if they refer them to us, we will pay our realtors and we'll make sure that they're looked after. Not just realtors, mortgage brokers, or anybody that's in the real estate industry. These are the people that, when they network with us and they associate with investors that really know what they're doing in the rent-own business, it's a win-win-win for everybody.
It absolutely is. And our investors like them too because they're good, solid returns back to them as well. So it's like a four-place win in a situation like that, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. The investors that work with us, I mean, they can't go anywhere else to have the security that we offer. I mean, people say, well, what about investing in commercial or what about investing in REITs and stuff like that? Well, here's the deal. I agree with you that anytime you want to invest in real estate, it's probably a good market. I mean, I'm a real estate junkie, you might say. I'm not really back into stocks, even though I know a lot of people make money in stocks. But I like to feel it. I like to touch it. I don't want to wake up one morning and go, where'd it go? So the people that invest with us in the rent-to-own business, even though I do a lot of other different types of real estate, I always, I tell my clients all the time, my coaching clients, look, there will always be a market for a single-family home. Yeah. There might not always be a market for your strip malls. I mean, when a strip mall is vacant, it's vacant. And because of the way that we do our rent-to-own business, where we only ever put one property into one corporation, and then we put that investor on title, he's secured on title, he's isolated from any other property that might have got into trouble because there's only one property in that corporation, and therefore his security is, because we buy with equity already in the property, his security is very high. I mean, we're not going to ever say, well, we guarantee you're never going to lose, because if we did that, we'd be in trouble. The SEC would be all over us. Yeah. But, the security that we offer a person, because he's the only person there's only one property in that corporation, and because we have, we know what the price points at the end, we have a very good idea what they're going to be, because we have a pretty good idea what the return is going to be. I mean, he is a very secure investor. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. I love that. A little bit more too, Ross, just as I know we're going to get lots of education the weekend about rent-to-owns and stuff like that, but you're also going to offer a workshop, a standalone workshop, Saturday night from 7 till 10. Can you tell us a little bit more about that workshop?
Oh, that's one of my favorite things to do, and that we have a blast. I'm sure you're going to be there. Are you?
I absolutely wouldn't miss it.
Well, I can assure you, you are going to laugh. You're going to have a lot of fun, and what we're going to do is we're going to. My big battle cry, Edna. My big battle cry is the good, the bad, and the ugly. You might have heard the old Clint Eastwood, the spaghetti westerns. Well, it applies to real estate leverage as well. You see, leverage is your friend in real estate, but it's also your enemy if you overdo it. And my battle cry right now, and where I see, I find that most of the people that I would call rescue, or the motivated sellers that I work with, get they're somewhere between, they've owned the property for somewhere between 7 and 11 years. And the reason that they're in trouble between 7 and 11 years is a number of things that I'm going to explain to you on in that workshop that we're going to do on Saturday evening. But primarily it's because they're over leveraged.
Yeah.
And so we're going to have so much fun, and I'm going to teach you that everything cash flows. In other words, and that's not a trick question, and that's positive cash flow.
Uh-huh.
I haven't found a property in years that didn't have a positive cash flow. And people say, "Oh, I find them all the time." Well, you're not looking at them correctly. So we're going to take real deals from real people in the audience, not these canned deals that just work for me once in a while. We're going to take real deals, and people are going to give me the numbers, and they're going to leave that workshop that evening, and they're going to have I guarantee you are going to have a brand new way of looking at real estate. It's going to be a little bit controversial, but I'm going to tell you this. A lot of the ways that people are looking in real estate are from things that worked 20 years ago. They're the same strategies. If you can't take things that worked 20 years ago and apply them in today's market, it just won't work for you. So you're going to get a brand new, fresh way of looking at it. I call it a farmer logic way of looking at things. And this presentation that I'm going to give on Saturday night was a presentation that I unveiled in 2010 on the Rich Dad stage down in Vegas. And so it's been tweaked. It's been a little bit changed since then. But the basic message is still there, and it's a fun message. People are going to be interactive, and we're going to have a lot of laughs. And I just love giving that presentation. It's a real fun presentation. And when people leave there, they've got a brand new understanding of the way of looking at real estate.
Oh, I can't wait to go through that because, I remember back when we took our course, and I mean, that's a while ago already. That was probably 2008. We really enjoyed your class at that time. And oh my gosh, learned so much. And we've made a ton of money off of rent-to-owns in the last 5 years as well. As well, we've really been able to help a lot of investors make some really good money. So I can't wait to hear the updates, and I can't wait to hear the comedy, because I do remember getting lots of laughs out of your class when we took it. You're absolutely phenomenal on stage in front of the group. So it's very, very exciting for us.
I can't believe you actually made real money in rent-to-own. I was only joking. That just only works for me normally.
No, we made really good money with it. And we had so many thankful people. I still remember one of my favorite ones was we had a young couple that had come from, I believe it was Vietnam. They could not speak a lick of English. We had an interpreter explain the whole deal with them. And to this day, I remember thinking how brave they were to, be sitting in their home with some people they didn't know, talking to them about a program they didn't understand, but all they knew is they really wanted to own their own home. And, 11 months later, they closed on that home, and they hugged us. They were so thankful. They were so appreciative. And my investor who was on that property, she said, you know what, Ed and I could do those all day long, because more than what I made off of it, she says, the feeling that I was able to help a young couple like that was so powerful.
Oh, I know.
Mm-hmm.
We've had so many of those types of success stories. I mean, when we were rolling full time in this thing, and when we lived in Calgary, now we live in the middle of on a mountain in the middle of BC. You'll have to come out and visit us sometime. But I remember when we were doing this, a lot of rent-to-owns, we were averaging 3-4 a month in Calgary, and we've got so many of those same types of success stories where people, they had no other way of getting into home ownership, and they were like, they looked at this and they went, wow, I love this. I mean, can you imagine sitting down with somebody, and sometimes it gets, we freak people out when I say them this, but can you imagine sitting down in front of somebody with a 107-page lease agreement and a 14-page option agreement and getting to sign this? And some people say, oh, my goodness, don't your tenants freak out? Actually, and I know you can appreciate this, Edna, it's exactly the opposite. They look at that and go, wow, you guys are so professional.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
They just love it, and they're so thankful that somebody is actually helping them get into, home ownership.
Well, and you know what? Just to think of it and to put it in perspective, you have to sign that many page document when you're going through a regular mortgage, and it's no different. It's the way to protect everybody involved in the deal, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And guess what? When you as the investor, when you sit down in front of somebody with that kind of a document, guess what? The respect level just went through the roof.
I can see that. Oh, I'm so looking forward to this, probably more than anybody else in the crowd, because I already know I've been through the first one. I know how much I got out of that one. And to take it to a whole new level, Ross, that's very, very exciting for me. So I'm so excited to have you come. And,
well, you know what? I feel like the old boy on the block. I looked at the rest of your panel, and they're all these young and good-looking entrepreneurs, and then you somehow thought about bringing some old ugly farmer into the mix. I'm not sure what you were thinking there, but you know,
you're funny.
I coached a lot of the people that are on your panel, though. So
I know that. Yeah, like Gary and Sheena and Shelley and Stefan Arnio. I know that's why I think it's so exciting to be able to have you here. And there's going to be other students of yours in the audience as well, because I spoke to them, and they're people too that have done rent to own and just want to upgrade their skills and being able to offer even more and better. So you're going to see a lot more of your students there as well, besides the panel.
Well, I'm so proud of you two, and to put something like this on. I mean, my goodness, I mean, it takes people like you in the community to really spearhead something like this, because trust me, I do know how much work you are putting into this, and you might not have told anybody, but I know that you have been working your buns off to put something like this together. It is a lot of work, and I hope people appreciate how much work you put in to put this whole thing together, because it is a lot of work.
You know, it is, and more probably than I ever expected off the top. But, you know, once you get going and there's some excitement going on, you just know that events like this in Regina have got to happen. People have to be educated. Saskatchewan people need to know the opportunity that they have here, because, you know, we travel all throughout U.S. and Canada through different masterminds and courses we take. Yeah. And there's people from all over the world investing in Saskatchewan. And a lot of Saskatchewan people don't see the forest for the trees. They just see that, we're getting a lot more traffic happening, a lot more new bills, and they see the downside, but they forget about looking for the upside of that. And I really want to be able to share that even with just the average Joe in the community.
Well, you know, I've always said that you can make an absolute fortune within an hour radius of where you live.
Yep.
And, you know, you just have to know what strategy to pick. You just have to know what your area will offer you.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's so true. And I mean, Saskatchewan, well, I think you're going to pass Alberta now with NDP over there, but, you know. Did I say that out loud? Inside voice. You know, you can't talk about politics, you know, so.
That's for sure.
But they do affect your real estate business, and people need to be aware of what's happening in the world.
Yeah, they do. They do. Well, you know, Russ, I know you're very busy today. I know you're down in Toronto doing some training there, so I'm not going to keep you. I think you have to get back to your classes. So, again, thank you so much, and we're so looking forward to having you here. It's going to be a phenomenal weekend, and you're such a valuable addition to the weekend. I can't wait to share your knowledge.
Well, I am so thankful to you, Edna, for putting something like this on and even thinking of me to invite me up there. And I'll tell you what, Toronto is not the center of the universe. I would much rather be in Regina any day of the week.
Awesome. I agree with you. I'm with you there.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a redneck with my boots on and my big belt buckle here, and I just don't fit into this city down here too well. They all look like I'm from Mars. I can't wait to get to Regina. You understand me?
Yes, we will. We do understand you. Okay. Well, thank you again, Ross, and we'll be talking to you very, very soon.
You bet, Edna. Looking forward to it.
Okay. Bye for now.
Take care. Bye-bye.